Hey, welcome back, everyone. So far, we have 100 people lined up out the door waiting to go in. It's a good thing that we don't have to do social distancing on the town halls. Quick introduction, if you don't know us. My name is Lucas. I do a lot of the marketing here at Gorgias. I don't normally have this disgusting thing, but I promised if some people from Twitter joined, I would keep it for the town hall. So you're welcome, and I can't wait to shave it afterwards. We have Zach from our product team, as well as our CEO and co-founder, Romain.
Hey everybody, excited to have everybody join.
Matthew.
For Lucas Tash, you have some support for that.
People like joining from Mexico. We're actually all over the place ourselves. I'm in Toronto. Zach, you're back out in Cali now, I believe. And Romain is visiting our team over in Bulgaria. Or were you in Serbia?
Yeah, great. In Serbia, yeah.
Perfect. But I don't know why I thought Bulgaria, but we've got people all over joining us. Let us know where you're joining from. While we just get started here, coming from Arkansas, North Carolina, Philippines, Mexico, Virginia, USA, all over the place. Houston, good morning. So somebody on the West Coast, Philippines. It's always amazing just really seeing where everyone comes from. If you were to think, and I believe that the stat was 36 million customers have touched a Gorgias ticket now or had an interaction. If you were to say a few years ago, Romain, that you were hosting a webinar with people coming all over the world, having reached 36 million people, the population of Canada, it's kind of, who would have thought that we would ever be here on a worldwide stage?
Completely. And even considering that at first we were just biking around in San Francisco, like trying to find like a few people to use the product. So thank you so much for jumping on board, everybody.
Perfect. Oh, Don, a fellow Torontonian here. So I know that everyone's time is really valuable, so let's jump into it. If anyone comes late, they missed the backstory on the mustache, I'll let you in the comments fill them in on what's going on, but let's jump into it. So this is our town hall. We normally only open these up for our customers, but we thought we might want to open it up to everyone to see. Jake once saw the band Fish in Toronto. Dan from Unbound Marina, who just became a Gorgias customer, is a huge Fish fan. If you've heard him on any podcast, so a little connection there. But we wanted to go over a lot of the BFCM prep, what we're doing with our product roadmap, what we've launched recently to help you with BFCM, and just go over some stats from last year. We also reviewed all of the questions that everyone put in. We kind of categorized them into different buckets. So if it's more in-depth with Gorgias that you're looking for, our success team is going to be working on providing some more resources around that. If it's anything sort of e-commerce or trend related, keep an eye out for the podcast where there will be a replay of this posted. I'll do some podcasts and turn those into blogs as well about those topics. And then anything product chat related, we reviewed the questions. We'll try to address as we go through the topics, and then we will cover it there. And of course, if you have questions, we can save it for the end. Because we have over 100 people joining us right now, we're up to 130. Try to use the questions box, just because the chat can go. It can really start flying by, and we'll try to respond as we go. So let's get into it. What happened last year around BFCM? Because I saw on Twitter today, the first BFCM email went out. So when can you expect that peak? Well, last year was a really interesting year because BFCM and Cyber Monday fell on the last weekend possible of November. And this is interesting for two reasons. One is that consumer spending tends to go down during that time, especially for things like Thanksgiving, if people have been stretching their paychecks out. So spending is always a little bit different when Black Friday, Cyber Monday is the last possible days of November. And it's also a much shorter selling period to kick off the holidays with. Now, having said that, of course, 2020 changed everything. But as you can see, November 29th with Black Friday, there was a little bit of a peak, but really the big wave of tickets came in on Cyber Monday. And that's what we're looking at here, which is the ticket volume throughout Gorgias. The next item that I thought was really interesting is Fridays. Fridays tend to be the slowest day of the week going into the weekend for support. But as you can see, sort of about 3-4 weeks out, tickets started increasing. So even if you're not planning to launch any BFCM promos until, say, a week before, start planning ahead, just because you will start to see the rise of inquiries. And then finally, we've all heard about January, sort of that return again on January 2nd is UPS's biggest day of the year. We wanted to see if that was true for your support team as well. And there is a little bit of an increase in January. Probably people just wait until the holidays after to do their returns, finish their questions, etc. And then we can see, but the big spike really was prior to BFCM, or was during BFCM and not so much during the holidays here in mid-December. So that's a quick look at the analytics from last year. We have a few questions, but we also have a few items to cover. So with that said, Romain, did we want to talk a little bit about some stability and going into BFCM? I know that we addressed it last time, but just the TLDR is we're really over-engineering what we need to make sure that we're joining the ranks of Shopify, Cloudflare, and of course the Google Cloud.
Yeah, 100%. And something else I wanted to announce as well in that regard is that we are going to do 24-hour support from Monday to Friday starting next week. So throughout the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So there was, I think, Shaylee on the chat, on the questions who was asking like, hey, is there going to be support from the Gorgias team during West Coast hours? So yes, 100% starting next week. We are going to add the weekends as well in a few weeks, so we'll keep you posted, but you should have more support from our team to give you a hand if you need anything throughout the holiday season. All right, so I think that's it for the stability update. Do we want to jump into features?
Yeah, I think this is a good transition. So one thing I wanted to show off, I'm going to share my screen real quick, is our new view sharing feature. I'm not sure how many of you have seen it. We put out a couple updates, but I wanted to give you guys a little interactive tutorial and show you everything that it can do and how it can improve your organization and keep your team more organized, especially during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, where you're going to get tons and tons of tickets in. So view sharing will allow you to change who can see a certain view, because right now, or in the past at least, everybody saw every view that you created. So right here, I'm going to create a new view. We're going to call it fake view, and we're going to create that as a new view. So right now I have two screens open. As you can see, this is one agent, this is another. This agent is an admin. This agent over here is a just standard, normal agent. So right now the view is public. So you can see the view here, you can see the view here. But if I change that sharing to private, now you see that view's immediately disappeared on this screen over here. So let's say you create a view that you don't want everyone seeing, but you still want to share it with some people. For example, let's say you have a team that deals only in Facebook Messenger tickets or social media tickets. You're going to want just that team to see it. So what you can do is set that sharing to shared instead of private. That'll allow you to search for users or teams. In this case, I'm going to select Zach2, which is this user on the right. Update that view sharing, and now just me and this user over here will be able to see that view. So as you guys can imagine, that can take a huge burden off of your full team in terms of what they can see, what they can't see. If you have users who are just getting comfortable with the software and don't know which tickets are theirs, it's a good way to get around seeing just the views and just the tickets that you want them to deal with rather than all of the tickets. So it's a good way to split off and divide your views and keep your help desk more organized, which is, as you guys know, incredibly important, especially coming onto a season with heavy loads of tickets. So I think now is probably a good time for Romain to kind of move through to view sections, unless you guys have any questions. I would love to hear how you guys want to use the views. Is there anything that our view sharing rather, and how you think this might impact your customer support experience?
Nice. All right. So let's see these questions on the chat. I see you have plenty of reactions, Zach. Like Marisol is saying she doesn't like the views. We'd love to hear, not useful for my team. Okay. If you can be specific about what views that you use and what are the views that you don't need, that'd be extremely helpful. We have Stevie who likes the views, so that's I guess like good to see the other side. But basically, we constantly trying to do a better job, and obviously, like I can share a little bit more about that. So one of the problems we've had with the views is that as the team grows, there's more and more of them, and so something that we spoke about last time, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper on, is the view sections. So basically, right now, what you have is on the left, you have like a big list of views that has been created by the team. And so with view sharing, which Zach just showed us a few seconds ago, you can essentially create views only for some part of your team. But another use case that we've seen is that you also want to have a default set of views that the team will see. Like for example, like a given team would see like only a subset of it. So that's why we are introducing in a couple of weeks this section called shared views. And so essentially what it's going to do is that you're going to have the ability to create like subsections that you can see here, where they could be like, for example, like the views that everybody would use, like the channels, the country, like all of that stuff. So the main idea here is to organize the sidebar so that it's useful for everybody on the team and everybody can see, okay, like this is what everybody needs. And then at the bottom, you can have your own private sections with these folders here where you would put the sub-views that you would use. So that's what's coming up in terms of view. We are hoping that this is going to help you organize them better, especially as you grow the team. And the order will be the same in the shared view. So if you drag and drop stuff, like that will change it for everybody. So I'll pause here on the views and answer any questions you might have on the chat, and we'll take also like some of the questions that are being asked in the question tab at the end. But I'll hand this over to you, Zach.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the next thing we're actually going to talk about, I wanted to tie this into what Matthew it just brought up, which is view folders is view sections. So what you're going to be able to do, Romain, do you have a demo we can share or any sort of screenshots? If not, it's no big deal. But essentially, you'll be able to separate your views into sections, and at a certain point, you'll be able to either expand or collapse those views.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's what we just went over, like essentially this part. So yeah, like you can see, like you can drag and drop, you can expand sections, save it for everybody. So yeah, that's the concept.
Exactly. Great. Okay. So then the next thing we wanted to talk about, this is something we talked about a little bit in our last one, but I wanted to reiterate and kind of just show you guys off because it's something you've asked a lot about, creating tickets as internal notes. I'm going to do a very, very quick demo because I know we've already shown this off, but it's something that I think is incredibly important to those who might have missed it. So in the past, you had to essentially, you couldn't start a ticket with an internal note. And that's difficult because you don't necessarily want to send a message to your agent or send a message to the customer if you're just trying to store agent information, give some context to another, give a context to another agent about this customer if you want to just store information about their customer series. What you can do now is first, you go to your right bar, you find your customer, you add them, and you find a functioning customer, set that customer, and you can leave an internal note. This customer came into the store last week. He was really impressed. You send, add a subject. Okay, you send, and then you can assign that ticket now to another agent, and they can take that information and move forward, reach out to the customer, and just it's a good way to provide some context if you're trying to assign other tasks. So that's creating tickets as internal notes. But I want to kind of move into is our roadmap, what's coming in the future. These are all things that we've shown you, except for the view sections that are live.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Just have a few questions. You just hit one of them. Irina wanted to know, when will the view section become live? Right now, it's available as a setting, so it's already been deployed. We did have the question of how did you get the folders for the views, as well as could we create views that only deal with ticket type, tagged for status inquiry, or return or negative. That way we could have an agent or team specialized in that type of ticket.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you can do that. The way that we suggest is by using our intents to auto tag tickets. You can look for certain phrases, or like I said, using intents within your rules to auto tag tickets. Then you create a view that specifically looks for that tag. So in the case of, let's say returns, you look for the intent. You create a rule that auto tags based on intent, which we can walk you through later. And then create a rule that will apply a tag that says returns, then create a rule that will essentially say, that will auto tag, that will hold all tickets that are tagged as returns. So that's a good way that you can partition off certain types of tickets and deal with it, and have certain parts of your team just deal with those specific tickets. So the next thing, unless you guys have any other questions, I'd love to briefly talk about some of the things that are coming down the pipeline. Hopefully Romain and
Lucas.
Lucas.
That's okay. I look different. I forgot my name.
I'll call you Jack, so I think it's fine.
How am I supposed to? I don't know who I'm dealing with. Anyways, so some things that are coming down the pipeline. A big one that we've been working on is responding to Facebook comments via Messenger. This is a new feature that this is a feature that that Facebook API just released that is really, really useful. You know, for example, if a customer reaches out negatively and you want to have that you want to reply to them and have a conversation, but maybe you don't want that in your public portal. So the way that we're working that out is essentially if you hover over a message, this is a Facebook message, you'll be able to select this icon here. It will pull into a new ticket that is a Messenger specific ticket like this, and able to have that private conversation via Messenger rather than having it publicly or having to go onto Facebook and doing that yourself. So that's something we're really, really excited about, and I think it's going to help make our social media platform stronger. The last thing I want to briefly go over is the Agent Smart Replies. This is another new feature we've been working out. And essentially,
Jack, can you zoom in a little bit more, because like there were a few comments on the chat saying that it was a bit too small for everybody to see.
Yes. Sorry, y'all. I'm using a bigger screen. Can you guys see this right here? Is that any better?
It's much better. You can even like zoom a little more.
Let's get that going all the way through. How is that right there?
Better, yeah. Study.
All right. Thank you all. I apologize, and I'll go back even more. I'll go back to the other ones and zoom in even more so you can see them afterward. Yes, sorry, Carolina, these are not live yet. These are things that we're working on right now, and things that will be coming out in the next month or so is our hope. Agent Quick Replies will essentially auto-suggest responses based on tickets. The idea is that by making these suggestions, your agents will be able to respond to these tickets quicker. Over time, we want that to be smarter and smarter. Our hope is to eventually blend that into, to basically take your common answers and form those into their own sort of auto-generated macros, and basically use that so that we suggest answers like you guys would make yourselves. The idea is we want to improve your customer support speed without losing that personal touch. So this is This is a new feature. It's something we really, it's something coming in the pipeline that we really want to refine and build into something super useful for you guys. So those are the, if you guys have any questions, I want to stop right here and give you some. Melanie, it's not available just yet. It's something that it's going to take some time because we want it to be smart. It's going to, but as we move forward, we'll make announcements. We'll make it quite obvious when it comes out, and it'll start suggesting answers over time. So I think it's, yeah, so it's in the product roadmap, and our hope is that we'll continue to kind of build on that right now. All right, let's.
Perfect. And while we transition, Zach, I just have a quick poll for everyone here. I'm just going to publish it now. I'm just curious if this is if you're a regular here. I see a lot of familiar faces like Cody. If it's your first time, or if you saw one of the tweets or something, and you aren't even on Gorgias, if you were swinging by just to see what we're all about. So I just put that poll in there now, just to give us a little bit of a demographic check.
Nice.
Cody. Well, of course you got to call out Cody. You're one of the most engaged members in our little Facebook community. You did a case study that we feature on the website. Of course, I'm going to pick the name that I recognize the most. And Casey showed up for her first time in New Zealand. Cool.
Nice. Just want to answer Andreas about some of the features that we've shown. So the view sections. So that's something that's currently being worked on. So it's not available just yet, but we'll let you know as soon as it ships through the updates.gorgias.com and the weekly newsletter. And we'll also present it on this meeting to show it to you live. All right, there is something else I'd like to tell you guys about. We are shipping a new version of our chat in the coming days. And so I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on what is going to be the difference with the existing chat that we have. So at a high level, the current chat that we use is provided by a third-party company. And so basically, we don't have control on everything that happens there, which created some limitation in the past. And so the goal with this new chat is to have control and provide more functionality to you guys. So in short, as soon as the chat ships, the first thing that it's going to give us is that it's going to load much faster. We optimize the content for your e-commerce website to load fast. And then there is a bunch of other features that we're going to add over time. And so same, it's not live yet. Give us a few weeks to add that, but it's going to be customer location, online status, WCAG compliance. And we're also going to show better the messages that were sent over email from the chat. So for example, if the customer leaves, then we would send the messages through email. And so right now it's not clear what just happened. So we're going to add that as well. On top of it, Zach has been working extensively on a self-service portal on the chat that we've shown on this webinar in the past. So we didn't want to talk about this again today, but we'll demo that to you guys as soon as we launch it. And we're really excited about that because that's going to help have customers elaborate on what they want so that it can save you a few steps when chatting with them. I think that's almost it for the product roadmap. I think one more thing that we wanted to talk about is a statistics filter. I'm actually in Belgrade right now with our support team, and we were just catching up about this, and it's something that they want themselves for their own Gorgias account. And so I know that Zach, you've been working on some of that, so would love to hear what is it that you want to build.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of adding some new filters to statistics, I've run a couple different options around, and we have a couple new ideas that I think will add a lot of functionality to statistics. The first of this will be to add tagging filters to revenue statistics. So that seems like a small add, and it isn't exactly clear why that might be super important. But what that will allow you to do is track your campaign revenue. That I think will be incredibly, incredibly valuable to you, because what you can do is set up an auto tagging rule for campaigns and then be able to track just your campaign tickets and compare different campaigns, which ones are most effective, and get an idea of how to really refine your campaigns and generate as much revenue as possible. So that ties into this goal of ours at Gorgias to kind of not only help you deal with customer support, but also refine your customer support processes. And that's really, really important, because we want to not only just help you answer questions, but also make your processes better and be a big source of data for you to pull insights from and make actionable discoveries. The next thing we want to add is a integrations filter. So right now, you can only filter most of these statistics by channel. And that makes it really tricky for companies that want to, that have multiple brands. So by adding an integration specific filter rather, you can say, okay, I want, my company A's email, my company A's chat, my company A's Facebook, and separate your statistics not only by what channel the customer reaches out through, but be able to, kind of manage brand to brand and make these insights on a brand to brand level. So I think that's going to be a really, really powerful tool. The last thing we want to touch on, it's a very small thing, but I think it will save a lot of time, is just a select all button. Right now, if you have to click all of your, if you want to see every statistic, for example, but one, if you want to exclude someone, you have to click through every single list in the, every single item in the list. If, for example, let's say it's agents and you have 10 agents, you have to click every agent but one. That's really long. That's really kind of annoying. And that's something we're going to work through just by adding a select all feature. Oh, yes. And actually, there's one more that we just added, which is adding teams to your agent statistics. So that's going to be really nice, because you'll be able to look at teams rather than just individual agents, having to pick agents out of those teams. So yeah, all of this is coming in by the end of the year. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, are there any, for example, statistics or filters that are missing, things you want from statistics? Something we've heard a lot about is exports. I would love to hear more if there's missing export features, ways to pull data that you're not getting, because that's incredibly important to us. Exporting to Excel, yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, Rena, I would love to hear a little more about what specific features, like what sort of things are missing, because that export box is pretty big. We really, really want to try to find the best possible features to pull from there so we can move them as quickly as possible. Yeah.
And in the wrap-up email as well, if you have anything else, just because the chat, we always export the chat. So if there's anything else that you want, put it in the chat, or just reply to that wrap-up email with the replay and everything there as well.
Yep, and just so you know, we also take all the content of the chat, and then we put this into our prioritization tool. So everything that you say is being taken into account, and that helps us prioritize. So really appreciate that you're sharing all of this feedback.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have a good chunk of questions. I don't know if there is a way they can sort them. Yeah, we can sort them by upvotes. So I'll just take the first one. So we have Lisa Guzman, who's saying, how do we set SLA for resolution? We want to set a 48-hour time for ticket resolution and be able to see tickets that are past this SLA. So something that you can do is create a view that would say all of the tickets that have been created for more than 48 hours, or all of the tickets that have a last message that is older than 48 hours. And so that's the current way of identifying those tickets. That being said, it's not like proper SLAs. Like, something that we could do is have a default SLA for all the messages, and that you can look into statistics. And so that's something that we are completely aware of and looking into. So if that's something that you want, please vote the question, and that will help us prioritize. Thanks. All right. So what else do we got? Zach or Lucas, do you want to take a few of them?
Yes. Let's see.
I'll take this
I will.
one.
Yeah, I'll touch on Rick's. Oh, okay. Yeah. So the Instagram DMs is a tough one. Right now, we are, as usual, waiting on Instagram to open up that API to us. It's haunts us every day. It's something we're constantly waiting on. Romain, you have an estimated date they gave you.
Yeah, they said early next year, but the caveat is that they also told us it will be of April of 2020. So yeah, they just keep telling it's coming up. the answer is like we don't know when.
Yeah, it's
and
a
it
tough
puts
one.
us in a tough position as well. For those who don't know, I was a merchant before joining Gorgias, and I used some tools that violate Instagram's terms of services, and I got shadow banned. And the last thing that we would want is for that to happen to anyone by doing a little workaround, and then your account gets jeopardized and your ad cost goes up. So it's tough for us to do the right thing for our customers, and also to follow the rules when everyone else says, oh, install this shady app to pull in the direct messages. So we're playing by the rules on that one because we don't want to jeopardize anyone's accounts. Ryan has a question about pulling the CSV of an entire day's tickets, including the assignee ticket URL integration as well. So just really enhancing the analytics here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so regarding that, so what you can do is create a view to pull tickets that were like edited during a given day. The thing is that I don't know if we have all of what you are asking here, so we can follow up afterwards and make sure there is everything. The ticket URL for sure, integration, I'm not sure because the integration can change throughout the ticket. So we would like maybe show the last integration of the message, but I'm not sure that's something we've added. So we'll get back to you on that. The way to do it would be to create this view and export the view.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have a few questions about notifications here. Can we enable the push Oh, Zach, you've got one there for the chats.
Yeah, this is one for so yeah, actually this is a good opportunity to talk briefly about the notification center. That's something we've heard a lot. And with that, a lot of customization over notifications, and as well as agent specific notifications. So you can keep track of all of when did you receive a new message, all these things with what message you have to respond to. So it's something we're definitely interested in and are trying to kind of work out right now as we determine our Q4 priorities. So that's something we've definitely heard and we are listening and are very interested in moving forward with.
Yep. Another one we had is when will we be able to like comments on Instagram? So same of the same story as Facebook reactions. It's a limitation from the Instagram API. So again, like depending on them and waiting for them to add this endpoint. We know it's a popular request, so as soon as it's available, we'll add it. All right, I see. Is there an option to merge multiple tickets at once as opposed to having them individually? Not as of now, but Zach is looking into auto merging. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's actually a great. So I've been running a beta program, and I put up a sign up about I think 3 weeks ago, to essentially enter into auto merge feature. And what it'll do is automatically merge a customer's tickets as long as the tickets from the same customer, as long as it's within a given time frame. And so far, the results have been pretty good. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We've had some people who have some frustration with, specific instance, like tickets being merged that they didn't want. So we're still moving forwards on, do we want to offer this? And if so, how much toggling do we want to be available to you guys? So anyone who is interested in this feature, please let us know by putting it in the chat. It's something that'll make it a lot easier for us to understand how many people want this feature and how valuable it would be to you. In particular, if you can mention, situations where this might not work for you, that's a big part of it as well, is we want to know what are the limitations of this. Is this going to really solve the root issue? And so please keep us posted on that, because I think that's something I've been working on and would love some extra feedback on.
Perfect. And I just launched another poll there as well. If you are interested, hit yes, so we see who answers yes, and then Zach and the product team can follow up with you as we roll that out.
And a big thing too, a limitation of our API right now is that you can't merge tickets. You can't merge tickets across channels. The only exception to that being chat and email tickets. If cross-channel merging is really important to you outside of just email to chat, that's an important thing for us to know as well, because we still have to make those decisions of, do we want to start merging tickets across channels? Because I think that can be really, really important. That can be really important to our kind of moving forwards, because that takes a lot of back-end work that we want to figure out what, if it's something that's important to you guys.
All right, next on, any possibilities of editing existing orders within Gorgias within the Shopify actions down the line? So that's actually great that you asked about this. It's something that we are looking into right now. So just as a reminder, what you can do is refund, cancel existing orders, and you can create new orders with specific items. But right now, we don't have the ability to edit orders, which is something that Shopify released about a year ago. So really curious to learn a little bit about the use cases. So if you can drop us a line on the chat saying, like, here is why I would use it, that would be extremely helpful. I see that the question is getting more upvotes, which is great. So like, makes a lot of sense to add it. We are looking into it, so we'd love to do a little bit more research. 15 upvotes to understand better how that works. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll take another one. Can we have an option to edit Facebook comments, Instagram comments send? Not yet. I actually don't know if it's, it might be possible. I'll look into it, because it's possible via the UI, so we just need to make sure it's possible through the API. We'll let you know. But yeah, good to know there's 5 votes for this. Yeah, we have about like 10 to 20% of our customers that are using Gorgias to manage social media. So that's like Facebook comments, Instagram comments, and transferring Facebook comments to Messenger, as Zach showed us earlier in the webinar. So yeah, like, definitely encourage you to use it to manage your social media. And on our side, like, we are committed to improving this integration. So there will be more features like this, the ability to edit the comments. All right. You guys want to jump in on a few questions?
Yeah, so we've got a few more here. Most have been answered. Plans to minimize downtime in Q4 and 2021. We talked a little bit about that at the start of the podcast, of the webinar, but really just over engineering everything that we need. We saw with rapid growth just what that looks like. Zach or Romain, do you want to take this one, since it's a little bit more technical than what I usually handle, to go into the specifics?
It's a hard question, so I'll take it. So obviously, we hate these downtimes, and we had a 2-hour downtime last week on the first cluster, which is essentially like the first customers that started using Gorgias. So what we are doing here is what we talked about in the last webinar, which is hiring extensively to make sure that we fix these problems, which is one. Number two is that the source of all problems is that we have a lot of customers on the same pool of servers, and we've had like a lot of growth. So there were lots of people using the same pool of server, and the activity increased. So what we want to do is to basically like split these servers to one pool to 2 pools, so that there is less activity on each individual pool. So that's something that's prioritized for our reliability team. So we'll keep you posted when that ships, but 100% like I think it's probably like the thing that keeps us up at night, and that's really what we want to get better at.
Yeah, I think that one other thing to add to that as well is because we pull in all the order data, if all of our stores have a great month or a really great weekend and have a large number of orders coming in, we're bringing all that in. So we're planning for, there's a saying, don't build a church for Christmas Mass, in the sense that don't build it to handle everything on your busiest day of the year. We're building to be able to handle Christmas Mass and then some. Yeah,
we should be fine for Black Friday. I'm not worried there, but it's more of a like for the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Like people from Cosmology, any chance of removing invalid rankings from customer survey? So that's probably a bug. So if you can email that to our support team, then that can go to the engineering team, and then we can look into the bug. Wow, eight votes, so there's probably a frequent bug, so we'll look into it.
So we have quite a few. So event ads, different types of ads that we can pull in. We found that the tagging system is not very accurate. Do you think that this can be improved? Zach, do you want to talk a little bit about this on the roadmap and just the tagging system?
Oh, you're on mute, Zach.
Sorry, everyone. Okay, so the tagging system is something that our machine learning team has been working on significantly. And there's a couple different variables that we are improving right now to make that smarter. First thing we've done is separate some tags into different buckets. Things like order status now can distinguish between a normal "where's my order" versus a "my orders, I know where my order says it is, but it's not there," or "I know, it's supposed to have been delivered at X time." So part of that is just making these buckets more specific so that we can better target and we don't capture, some of these, we call them false positives, where it thinks it's one type of ticket, but it's not. And additionally, something we're also going to be adding is we're going to be adding soon the more access to intents around the help desk, which will also hopefully give you the ability to confirm or deny essentially the whether a ticket has been tagged correctly. That way you can train your own algorithms. We actually offer that right now, this additional training, but it has to be tied to macros. So if you guys have any macros you use a lot on tickets that fall under a certain certain bucket, if you go into the macro settings, you can change the intent to that specific intent. For example, if you have a macro used for returns, setting that intent on the macro to returns will actually make it smart. It will help it learn itself to recognize your specific types of tickets. So there's work on our end that we're doing, and there's also work you guys can do as well to make those smarter. So
yeah,
that's
just that's actually here in the macro, so you can select the intent that corresponds to the macro, and so that trains our system.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah. So that's everything on the kind of making things smarter. But that's very much our goal, is to keep making these intents smarter, because as we kind of move more towards automation, we want things to be as accurate as possible. That's kind of the basis of our entire, our entire automation project, are these intents. So it's something we're always working on, always trying to make smarter.
All right, so we have a few more questions with 3 upvotes, so we'll take some of them. Are there any plans to improve the ticket search function? Currently, we have to reselect filters each time we make related searches. 7 upvotes, nice. So number one is that we made some performance improvements to the ticket search a few months ago. So hopefully it's getting faster. Curious to see if you guys have problems in terms of performance. The next step indeed for the search would be to include the filters in the URL. So basically, if you have a search that you want to share to somebody on your team, you would essentially copy the URL, send that over to them, and then they will see the same search results. So I see this is getting pretty popular, which is awesome. So we were wondering if we should build that. So I think we have a part of the answer in the upvotes. So really appreciate it. So we'll make sure to relay that in the roadmap.
And there are quite a few roadmap questions, which Zach, we can stick around after, but there's one here that I think is just really interesting. Are there plans to pull more specific data than, I'm trying to answer live, but are there plans to pull more specific data from Shopify other than the last order? We have 3 Shopify storefronts that we use, and our auto response sometimes replies with the wrong information. So I think this is really interesting for just bigger stores, especially if somebody orders from both.
Yeah, absolutely. I can take that, Romain, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So right now, we have plans. So kind of the big project, right, is the self-service portal, which will allow customers to select specific orders and reply with specific information based on the order that the customer selects. So that's really powerful beyond what you can do on the store, because what you can basically say is what you can basically do that you can't do in the store is target that specific user. Now what we're trying to figure out, now that we have the plans for the live chat, we want to figure out how do we integrate that into email as well. Because selecting that specific order is something that's really, really important for, you know, for kind of making these automations smarter, like in your case where there's multiple Shopify stores. So something we've talked about is creating a web portal potentially that will kind of mimic the same features as the chat, so that people can select their specific order and do these same sort of things. So we're just trying to take that technology, because I think that's going to be, that order selection is going to be so important, and move that to not only answer chat, but also email and other tickets as well over time. So that's our plan right now. So yes, there is a plan to get that across.
Cool. And then there was one last question. I know that normally we do it for 45 minutes. Some people wanted to see the new chat interface if they didn't see it before. So Zach, do you want to go just maybe show that, and then we can stick around and talk about some of the product roadmap questions. In the follow-up email, I'll include a link to the product board as well, just so you have access to that information. You can submit your product requests there as well, and that way the whole product team sees it front end center as well. So Zach, well, you're sharing that up as well, I just want to plug our iPhone customer referral program. So just let us know if you have referred someone or not yet, or you didn't know about it. I'll put the link to get your iPhone referral in by the end of the month in the follow-up as well.
Yeah. So this is just a working prototype. Just to reiterate, this is the self-service portal we've been talking about.
Can you zoom in a couple of times as well? I'm sure it's laptops.
Problem is, let me try to get it without.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that works for you guys. Let me know if you need me to try to zoom it in a little bit more. But essentially, the chat portal will look like this. I've created a working prototype. It's not available yet, but it will hopefully be soon. So essentially what you'll be able to do here, I'll zoom in again. Once you get to if you're logged in, you'll have this, you'll be able to see this and see all of your orders, the status, the items within it. It'll show at first glance your first 3 orders, but you'll be able to see all orders possibly. So what the first sort of iteration will be what you're seeing right here, which is essentially a ticket creation tool. It can answer some questions, but just specifically tracking, and deflect refunds and cancellations that are not allowed. You can set, for example, excluding this refund button for tickets based on how long ago it was ordered or delivered, on specific Shopify tagged items, or on specific SKUs to ignore different items. But if you go through this process, what you'll see, what you'll see is, and I know I went through that super quick, and I'll go back through, but I just want you to see the final product first, is ticket creation tools. So this sets that first stage. It answers these first couple questions. Okay, I have a problem with my order. You get to select one of a couple items, and it'll create this ticket, say the item names, the order number, the tracking number, when it was placed. Then your agents don't have to do this back and forth to get that information. So that's kind of the first early step. And over time, we want to automate this process entirely. We want to be able to knock out returns, cancellations, over exchanges, these kind of things. But for right now, it's all about ticket creation. So I'm going to pull back to the order in a sec. Let's see if we get it to the right one. Sorry about that. We don't seem to have the right one, but essentially with refunds, I can show you at least the screens. You'll be able to select, for example, return here. It'll take you to the following screen here, where the user will be able to select the items they'd like to return. And that will create a ticket like this, and customers on their end, or sorry, agents on their end, will see this templated ticket. And over time, you'll be able to merge these, for example, with rules to say, you know, if the ticket says, I'd like to return the following items, respond with this auto reply, you know, refund this, refund that. So over time, this self-service portal is going to kind of first create organized tickets and eventually over time move to full automation. So I'm sorry for those who have seen this before. I wanted to make sure everyone's seen it, something we're really proud of. But I think it's going to really shape as we move forward. Can there be a section where they explain the reason for their return? Yeah, Sean, that's something that we're definitely considering for the V2. For right now, so far, this is our original plan, but adding something like reason for return would be relatively simple. So it's something we definitely can add later down the line as this starts to be rolled out. So yeah, when this becomes available, sorry, Carolina, it's not already available. It's coming hopefully within the next quarter. That's our plan. And when it comes out, I'm sure you guys will know. We'll make it pretty clear.
All right, I think that's it for today. Lots of upcoming changes on our side.
Perfect. Zach, do you want to stay on for a few minutes, or Romain as well? I know it's late where you are, just to rapid fire do a few questions here. So Trevor wants to know, is there a way to create views based on if the customer was the last to respond to a ticket? Essentially, tickets still needing responses.
So the way that we currently suggest doing that is by having your customers snooze tickets between responses. That way, only the tickets requiring responses are going to be viewable. Let me check. That's kind of our standard suggestion, but it is something we can look into.
And it's also a good way for best practices as well. If you say snooze that ticket for 48 hours or 3 days, it will pop back up if you need to follow up with that customer for more information, so they're not left hanging and they don't have that bad customer support experience in their mouth that they opened a ticket and then it never got resolved. So it's a great way to either close it out once resolved or bring it back up to that customer to say, hey, are you still interested in this exchange? So it really does serve two purposes there for your brand. It keeps your view clean, but also it makes sure your customers get responded to.
Exactly. It's also important for your response times and ticket resolution times. That's another big variable. So you want to try to keep tickets snoozed as much as you can, because that will make your metrics for monitoring tickets more accurate.
And then I think we have time for two more questions here. Are we planning on including the chat queue, or at least customized automated responses while people are waiting? And I know that, Romain, you've actually talked about this in our Facebook community, that people generally want responses within under a minute if they're going to be talking to someone. Like, I'd love to hear on the product roadmap about that. And then also there's a question about using special characters in the searches. So $, for instance, or percentage.
Gotcha. Okay, so the first one, I think we'll ship the self-service portal on the chat first to see what's the impact of it. And ideally, like, we eliminate the problem of customers waiting by allowing you guys to respond faster to customers. So we'd rather focus on the former problem. So let's ship this, see how it goes. And if there's still a need, have to dig into this, of course. And second question, special characters in search. So yeah, let's see specifically what you mean in terms of $, percentages. We can take a look at this. It's also a little bit related to having the filters in the URL, something we spoke about a little bit before. So yeah, good feedback. We'll look into it.
Cool. Awesome. Romain, Zach, is there anything else that we want to cover in the questions that you see here that we maybe didn't get to?
I think we're good. Like, we will just go over like all of the questions afterwards, like, because there's a bunch, like there's like 20 left. So like we'll we'll take a look at that afterwards.
Yeah, a lot of specific ones. So thank you so much for everyone who joined. And in the follow-up email, I'll post a link to office hours that Natalia posted, our referral program, the view sharing link, the link to our community, and our product board as well. So if there's anything else that you want, just let me know in that follow-up email.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
everybody, for
everyone.
joining. I think it's the first time we had so many people, so really excited about that. Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Happy selling.
Bye, everyone.
I hit the end webinar button.